Eugenie Sage.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker, thank you.
Tēnā koe.
Well, I think the Minister had a bit of a Freudian slip there when he started talking about his review of fisheries management being about restoring public confidence in the fishing industry. And then he remembered that that actually wasn't his job. And it's interesting that this review, which the Minister has previously talked about as being a high-level review, which the Ministry's own website says is only a pulse check, has now been expanded slightly. But I don't think, Mr Speaker, that we can have any confidence in this review actually being independent or robust because of the very sorry tale that we have seen in the Heron report about the way the Ministry for Primary Industries actually operates. And that report showing that senior managers in the Ministry actually made the decision to block prosecution when there was good video footage of this major problem of fish dumping in the investigation report in Operation Achilles. That could have gone to court, that could have been robust, but what did the MPI do? It blocked that prosecution. And I think we are seeing a minister in denial about the issue of fish dumping. His responses in question time today to my questions just showed that he doesn't appreciate that it is a major problem. What the Minister and the Government are saying in relation to the Simmons report, which was a comprehensive investigation involving interviews with several hundred people in the industry, amongst fishers, to show that fish dumping is a problem, that the commercial industry is responsible for a major gap in the information that is reported to the Ministry and what is actually caught, that the industry is actually catching more than double what it is reporting to the Ministry. And why is this whole issue of fish dumping important, Mr Speaker? Well, it's a problem not just because it results in fish being killed and wasted, fish that could stay in the sea, that could be available to recreational and customary fishers, but it goes to the heart of fisheries management because the catch information is critical to understanding what fish stocks are and then to setting the catch limits. So if there is inaccurate information, if fishers are catching more than double what they are reporting, it means that the very information that fisheries management is based on is wrong, and therefore we won't be getting sustainable management. It leads to very poor decisions in estimating fish stocks and then setting those catch limits. And as Dr Glenn Simmons said in his comprehensive report, and I'd like to quote that, reliable catch data is a basic and essential requirement for the effective management of New Zealand's fisheries. It is fundamental to the assessment of fisheries stocks and to setting total allowable catches. Without reliable data, scientists, practitioners and policy advisors cannot properly interpret fisheries trends, the effects of technology, or accurately evaluate the social and economic impacts of actual or projected fisheries management. It leads to flawed decision-making. So we have had this, what the Director of Fisheries Management just last year called a systemic problem, which has been at the heart of the quota management system since day one in 1986, yet the Ministry and the Minister have failed to get on top of it. We've had a discards working party been going for 4 years. That has failed to get on top of it. And yet we have the Ministry keeping this quiet. It wouldn't have come into the public domain if the Operation Achilles report hadn't been leaked and we had the Minister and the Ministry being pressured into establishing the Heron Review. Because at the same time, in October 2014, when the Director of Fisheries Management was highlighting this systemic problem of dumping, we had the briefing report to the incoming Minister. And yet that briefing report fails to even bring to the Minister's attention the issue of fish dumping. And we've had a Ministry which is progressively reducing the attention that it pays to fish management. The Ministry was created in 2011. The standalone Ministry for Fisheries was absorbed into that big super ministry. And we've had, in the latest strategic intentions document, Fisheries doesn't even get a separate standalone section in this document about what the strategic intentions of the ministry and the minister are. So we're wanting, under this government, the whole key fundamentals of fisheries management being disguised, the government not being transparent, despite the minister saying or claiming that transparency is a priority of his. In here, fisheries barely gets a mention. We haven't had the ministry bringing the issue of dumping to public attention. It has only been brought to public attention by the 3 universities, British Columbia, Oxford and the University of Auckland, in that Simmons report, highlighting the scale of the problem. The minister and the ministry are in denial. Mr. Speaker, a third of New Zealanders say that they love to go fishing. They love to drop a line off the wharf, they love to drop a line off a boat. People want to ensure that we have healthy oceans, that we have enough fish in the sea. Yet under this minister, he seems to think that there will always be more fish in the sea without taking any action to stamp out fish dumping and ensure that every fish that is caught is used and used well. What we have is extensive wastage, and yet the Ministry for Primary Industries and this minister doing nothing to stamp that out. This review that he's set in place is only a high-level review. If the minister is saying that video cameras and surveillance are the answer, why is he allowing a company, Trident Systems, that is owned by 14 fishing companies to run that video camera monitoring? The public can't have confidence in a system which has the fox in charge of the henhouse. And that is what's happening with Trident Systems being responsible for video monitoring. We've had an independent company, Archipelago, that has been shut out. It was Archipelago's work in the Operation Achilles which provided the evidence which MPI could have used to prosecute and which didn't. Mr. Speaker, everyone is interested in healthy oceans and healthy fisheries, but there has been a huge undermining of public confidence when we have the major agency which is supposed to regulate fisheries management, is supposed to be promoting sustainable fisheries, failing to prosecute those who break the law by doing extensive fish dumping. And that has been a pattern in this ministry. We saw it last year with swamp kauri, where again the ministry failed to enforce the law and require that only manufactured and finished timber products were exported. This minister is allowing his ministry to get alongside industry and fail to be independent. It's allowing his ministry to be captured by the industry by the way they pay for a lot of the administrative functions and not doing its job in enforcing the law. Sustainable management is supposed to be the purpose of the Fisheries Act. Yet when we have massive fish dumping, which not only wastes fish, but also ensures that the information that's used to set catch limits is inaccurate, the industry is getting away with it, and all the minister can say is that it should pull its socks up. When you've got an industry which stands to make major profits by dumping fish that are too small to get a good price in the market, they will continue to dump fish. It won't be until the ministry takes action, and under this minister, they are failing to do that. Mr. Speaker, we need the public to be confident that we have an independent regulator, not one that's captured by industry. That's why we need a full Commission of Inquiry, an independent and robust review into the quota management system, not just the minister's pulse check, which is the equivalent of a slap over the hand with a wet bus ticket. People want healthy oceans, they want healthy fisheries, but under this government, which is prepared to allow the industry to continue to dump fish in large quantities, we are not going to get that. We need a change of government.